Hello, welcome back. History of Design, session 5. I hope you all enjoyed a little bit of a respite from this last week. I think we have a spring break coming up in a month or so. I don't know. There'll be another respite. Don't worry. But we're gonna keep cruising, keep moving through. Let's set this up for studio preview. We'll do some work today, some work on Thursday. I'm gonna have to separate it out for myself. That's okay. Make sure you're staying on top of things. What's due today? What's due Thursday? Because of that week break, all the assignments have their proper dates put on. We are into Tuesday's assignments. I'm just double check. Those are 3, and then Thursday is 5. Yep. Was having some troubles with the old Blackboard. Art Nouveau is our session. What we'll talk about. Again, make sure everybody's doing great with these attendance. Keep it up. Which of the following is a raster-based program? So when we talk about raster-based, we're talking about pixels. And when we talk about vector-based, we're talking about like mathematical vectoring. So they're two different things. Photoshop is our raster-based program. They're starting to become mixes in between the two. Adobe Illustrator, you can rasterize some things. InDesign, I don't know if you can necessarily raster, but they're starting to blend those two in working properties. So Photoshop is the answer for now. There's another great program out there for iPads called Fresco, and it is by Adobe. That one is actually a program in which they blend, and you can do vector and raster in the same file. It's quite amazing. I love it. If you're ever interested in learning more, you got to reach out to me. Reach out to me. I'll talk about it more. I'd love to tell you more about that kind of stuff. So that's where we are with that. Make sure you do your attendance. Mid-session project review, of course. Please get these in early if something is due the day of. You're really cutting it close if you submit it at 5 or 6 the night that it's due. I don't always check. I'm in the morning. I go from 9 until 5, and then I got 800 other things to do after that. So it's a rarity of a check. So make sure you get it in sooner than later. I do want to help you, but yeah, when you wait till that last minute, it's like, oh, what? Great. But I'm so excited to help. I checked every day last week, helping out, doing it. So there you go. We have our Tuesday's assignments. I'm going to go over the lecture, and I'm going to do the Art Nouveau title, and I'm going to do the Art Nouveau design on Thursday. The reason being is Thursday's assignment is the work on the final, and there's not as much to show you there. All we're going to do is it's like you're going to upload your posters for that last week. I'm going to do final changes, final tweaks, tell you what to do, and then you're going to put them into a realistic setting. So there's not much to talk about with that one. I'll show you how to put it in a realistic setting. So I'm going to combine this project and this project on Thursday. And today will be we'll talk about Art Nouveau, and I'll talk about the title treatment, and I'll talk about just designing the title treatments in general and working with type. And I don't want to call it like filling the space, but like realizing the footprint I would say that you have, and having things read well, and like you have this space and you have like 4 words, like fill that space, or if you're not, like what needs to go there. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Without further ado though, let's go over some Art Nouveau. All right. So we're having a switchover, right? We are starting for Art Nouveau came across because people wanted something different. What was happening in the design, it was all like, the grids and the type. We talked about type and stuff like that. Things were getting very kind of formatted, and the French new art. It was an international style that rejected the boring historical styles, like very, like we're learning the thing is, like, we're learning how to mass produce, you know, and we're learning how to like typeset. And then the way to do that is very clean, clear, precise. But after a while, we're like, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I want to do something different. So I'm going to take the tools that were developed and I'm going to start doing more something new. And it becomes Art Nouveau. We are looking at how can we use the technologies that are being developed, but then now turn it into something more lively. And that's what we're doing. So one of the big ones, and you'll see, I don't know if I have, because the chapter, I take these chapters from a book called Meg's History of Design, History of Graphic Design. And I exclude some chapters because we only meet 16 times and there's 20 some chapters. And so I exclude some chapters. But everything is cyclical. So what comes around goes around. So we're looking at number 2 is this influence of nature in design. And it seems like something fairly new. And it is fairly new in the sense of we are bringing in a new way to look at things, because the technology, we went from hand, like doing everything by hand, to figuring out how to do it and start to develop mass production. But now we're like, that mass production became stale. And so we're like, we need something new and something fresh. We're going to look to nature and change the way we do stuff from here on out. So that's kind of like where all this is starting to come from. Let's get rid of that line. So when I say everything is cyclical, we can even look to just modern times. The advent of the computer and icons and telephones. We had a period of design time where we did a lot of what we called skenomorphism, which was making our digital products, our phones, our apps on our screens, our programs. We didn't call them apps back then, we called them programs. But we tried to simulate what the real world was digitally. So if you look at your modern Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff, that is now what we call like kind of a flat design. But before that, when we had an MP3 player and it was digital, we actually would draw it and we'd have like volume knobs and like with arrow and like, so on the computer, it looked like a volume knob and it was what you were used to. And that's how you would be like, oh, I know what a volume knob is. And so when I look at a computer screen, I know what that is. And then so then we, and so that things were very realistic. And then after a while, people were like, we're done with realistic. We're going to do flat design. And we want everything flat, right? And then so everything was like pure color, nothing else to it. And now we're back. We're back to this skenomorphism. The new Apple Glass is simulating transparency and like, what if things were like bubbles, like in the real world? And then so now we're just back to it. We're back to nature again. And then after a few years, we're going to do this, and then people are going to get sick of that, and they're going to go back to a flat design. And then after a while, people get sick of that, and then we'll go back to like a nature, and we'll be looking at nature and watercolor or something like that, and that'll be the next trend. So these trends come and go throughout the centuries. There's the art, it's not Art Nouveau, there's another period, it's slipping my mind, but we do this again, where we're going to get really fancy, arts and crafts movement. We're going to get really fancy referencing nature, and then we're going to go to arts and crafts movement, which goes back to very flat design again, like no more frills and whatever. So everything in design comes around and comes around again, and then it fades away, and then somebody thinks they're inventing something new, and it's all been done before. Like we've all done it. It just comes around in different ways. So that's what I'm talking about, where I ran away with this of like these two combined is we're looking for something new. The French was like, I'm going to look to nature. We're going to start making these ornate designs, beautiful, almost sculptural designs. And it's influenced by nature because everything previous to this was so based on mechanical tools and typesetting, and it was all grids and whatnot that we want to get away from that. Though if you look at all the pieces, it's like still pretty gridded in a design fashion, but in the ornateness, like it's 3 panels. It's like beautifully done. Love it. All right. So a lot of this, it's not always just influenced by nature. Back in the day, like we're influenced by different cultures. We're influenced by different cultures now, but now there's more of a blending of cultures. Back in the day, the Japanese ukiyo style wasn't seen a lot. People would have to visit Japan, then bring them back over. And it was a big process and things weren't shared as much. But designers would see that, use that influence as part of that nature to develop this new style of Art Nouveau. So it was in reference to something another culture was doing. And we took that and started designing it in a different way. Sure, the Japanese style was a little bit more free flow and natural. We took it, and then the Art Nouveau style, it deals a lot with patterning, not so much in the Japanese style, but it is a direct reference of using nature as a design base. And again, there, no internet, no nothing. If you wanted something, you took a 6-week ship to Japan, like it was, months of work to get something over. And then to share it was even harder. There's no photos. There were not, you have to show somebody the print. You go to a museum. So the styles don't spread nearly as fast as they do now. And now there's more of a melding. We can see stuff immediately that's being done here or there and say like, oh, I like that style from this area. I'm going to do that as well. And you can just like glom on right away. So now we're also getting into the total work of art. So Art Nouveau wasn't just posters, but we're taking that design style and we're doing it on everything. Entrances to the subway, buildings, everything was getting designed in this new art style, Art Nouveau. It was a trend for not that long, but it was a very significant style trend. Of course, after a while, it went away. People started doing something new, but this was really the start of where we started using what we call a design style, but for everything. Like I said, it was furniture, wallpaper, fonts, architecture, everything that people would be like, oh, it's Art Nouveau. If we look to like more into the future, there's the whole think of the 1950s streamlining stuff where look at the cars and campers, cars, diners, all had that chrome and neon. And that was also wrapped into the graphic design style of the time as well. So this is where it all kind of started from, is that people were taking design styles and working it through everything and not just, paper design, just the poster. Then we move on to Jules Charette and the Charettes. This is kind of the start of, and we'll see it on the next page with Toulouse-Lautrec and other people of the time, Alphonse Mucha, as we are starting to have quote unquote, I don't want to call it cover girls, I guess is the best way to say it. We're using the form to help sell. If it's a product, if it's a show, if it's whatever it may be, we're starting to use more like a model. We're not just relying on the type, we saw those big, bold, the posters of Old Timer, it was just text. Now we're making them far more elegant. We're introducing a model that is visually pleasing with the text, and we're starting to design for emotion. We're starting to look at these and like, oh, that's lovely. You know, nobody's going to look at like a wood block print poster and be like, that's so lovely. But we look at these posters here on this page and we start to think differently. Oh, there's an emotional tie to it. And here's the cool part. I'll talk about it on the next page. But Jules Charest was the one who kind of started using the models as a figure in a lot of his posters, and people, you know, caught on and started using it more and more as well, because when there's it's just a trend. One of the big ones, I'm going to jump down to 8 here, Toulouse-Lautrec, just because I got a thought on this, is in France, there's this poster revolution. And because the posters are becoming more and more like this, where it's a large image, it's got the star of the show, and then somewhere on it, it'll say where they are playing, where that star is going to be performing. And these were done in such a way that people started taking them. They would steal them off the streets. This was a new revolution in people seeing advertisements and wanting them in their home. And we do that all the time now. We do it in such a weird way now, is think of your clothing. Think of your clothing. Those pieces of clothing that you buy, the Nike makes shoes, but you have a Nike shirt with a Nike logo on it. What are you doing? You are advertising for Nike. You paid money to buy a shirt with a Nike logo on it, and Nike is just kind of thinking, I made money for this person to advertise our company for us, and they paid us to do it. So that's how things change. And so like when we talk about these posters, this is the first time that people are looking at posters, these advertisements, and thinking, I want that advertisement in my home. So they would steal them off the walls. I don't think any of these have an example on it. It got so bad that you will see examples in the future that there'll be a little stamp and some writing and like a date. And that would be on all the posters now. So after a while, they're like, people are stealing all the posters. They would stamp them. And if you were found with a stamped poster in your house, you would have to pay a fine. You could get arrested for stealing the poster off the wall. So it got to that point where people loved these things so much, they wanted them so much, they were stealing them. And it got to the point where they're like, well, no, we need to mark them. And if you are found with a marked poster, we're going to charge you. You're going to go, you know, there's a jail sentence. You can't just steal things off the wall because you love it. So that's where all this started. Marketing. I want that ad in my house. I want, you know, and then it just blossoms into what we do now is we basically wear advertisements for companies. Getting off of that soapbox right there, Alphonse Mucha's Noodles and Spaghetti, this ornate design. I call it like the stained glass. When we look at Art Nouveau, we're looking at this these beautiful, you know, florals that they repeat, and they, you know, just beautiful, like, you know, noodles and spaghetti, whatever. Oh, here, you know, like these, just beautiful, like swirls and swishes. And, you know, it's just an emulation of something, but it took it to a new level. Alphonse Mucha really became the king of this and doing it so well. And it's a beautiful rendition, like almost like stained glass, but it's giving you that sense and that appeal of it. And it's really the creator's Alphonse Mucha. So when you see these pieces, that person is the one who started this trend. And how awesome to be the creator of something like that. And it's such a lasting style, and it's so beautiful, so nice. I mean, to come across, like, it's even hard to try to do this in the modern times because people just will reference you as, oh, that's like a muka. You're like, dang it, I was trying to not have people say that about the work, but such a distinct style, and it became so beautiful. Then we always have our naysayers in this as well. Aubrey Beardsley, black and white. I'm gonna just do pure black and white. It's still as intricate, still as beautiful, but like, let's just do, it doesn't need the color. I'm gonna do that intricate patterning and style, but instead of having all like so much going on with the color and this and that, I'm just gonna do a black and white, clean and clear. And this is, far more printable. This is taking, huge lithograph stones, and the print process was far more involved. Here, you could just do a simple one color. And it just shows the contrast. Like, it's still kind of the same style, just far more loose, but it's still in the same vein of what we're talking about with Art Nouveau, where we're looking at nature and how things work, and, these peacock feathers up here. But you could even say, here there's flowers everywhere, but it's very structured in the way it's done, even though it's grasping for nature. All the stuff on the outside, very gridded. And then the inside becomes very flowing. Just great stuff. Toulouse-Lautrec started bringing the gritty feel. I like the way that says to the posters. They were done quickly. He was like a master at doing, like, knocking things out. And the crazy part is the understanding of how this works is they're drawing on a stone, like literally a piece of stone. If you think of sandstone, or think of, I don't want to go as far as like the cement on the ground, but it's a flat stone. And then if you draw on that with an oily crayon, an oily marker, that will stay. That stays on the stone. And then if you put water down, water and oil don't attract. And so if you put water on that stone after you did your drawing, you can ink it. And the ink will stick to the waxy crayon, but won't stick to the watery surface. And then you can put a piece of paper on it, rub it, and you'll get that image. And you just kind of keep doing that. But Toulouse-Lautrec was very fast at it. And he could look at a piece, and like each color is a different stone. So if you wanted yellow, red, or sometimes they painted them by hand, but like you would do one color and then possibly a second color and a third color. And then sometimes you would go in and paint by hand to speed up the process. It's, let's say, like on this piece, it looks like the green was printed and the black was printed. Even with this shading, you could get this shading with the wax crayon. And then they would probably went in and did the yellow and the red by hand. It was quicker, but the shading was done. It's a crazy process. For years, I would read about it and I'd be like, I don't get how this drawing on stone things work. Here's the other one is you forget, and we don't realize like the intensity that has to be done. All this has to be done in reverse. Because when you lay the piece of paper onto this and you take it off, it comes off in reverse. So when you do a design, you have to think of your design, you have to draw up your design, and then when you want to do your design as the final, you actually have to do it backwards. So there's a whole nother process involved of, I got to transfer this backwards onto the piece, and just think how easy we have it now. The Bridge to Modernism. Art Nouveau was the first style to treat graphic design as a serious art form. Yay! All it is, this is the time where we start seeing things in, just used more. And people are respecting it. It's not just a posting that once the event is over, it's thrown away, even though it still happens to this day. But it became to the point where we see it as art and we want it in our home. I went to, think of gig posters. I went to see my favorite band at Alpine Valley, and I bought a poster advertising that band playing at Alpine Valley as a memento. They used that poster to advertise the show months in advance, and I'm going to buy that poster because I want it as a memento. I like the design, I like the style, like whatever, and I want to hang it in my home as a memory. And it's an advertisement. That's just crazy, right? And then the other one is we're starting to think about design, the integration of text. Instead of it always being a separate thought, it is being integrated into the whole design as well. So we're not separating out elements and saying like we're designing the type to fit the piece and not just, slapping on some text. So that became a bigger part of the design as well, where we're thinking about the imagery. We're thinking about how does the type work? We're changing the colors, like we're starting to think about hierarchy. What's more important? Like this is a great little piece. Like in, the two black parts, like right here. Black steps out. And then we have the wonderful 1, 2, and 3 for the most part. So we work in designs of threes. So then we have a red, and red, 1, 2, and 3. I love to work my designs in steps of threes whenever I can. It just looks good and works well. But yeah, we have this as the bold. This is the second part. Secondary information is smaller, but it's all built in and it looks like it fits the design. And that's a big part. It's of what we do. The typography needs to fit the design. That's why like a big part of like, don't use Myriad Pro. It's just a default font. We have access to thousands and thousands of different fonts. Use what fits the design. And then sometimes what happens, what you're going to end up doing is as you grow as a designer, you start to reduce the amount of fonts that you use and only use special fonts when needed, because you develop a style and you're like, I use this font. I use it because I like it. So things change, but we always still try to design for the piece, which leads me into the title design that I want to talk about for today. As I said, I'm gonna do the title design, and on Thursday I'll do the Art Nouveau design blended with the Project Final, because the Project Final's just fairly simple. So I want to split our time together. I'm gonna open this up. Let's check it out. We're working in InDesign this time. Always double check which program we're using. I have it stated several times. File, new document. Let's bring this over. Oh, it won't bring it over. Shoot. Close. Let me I had a document open. So I'm gonna go to new file. I'm gonna create a print document that is 6.5 by 1.25. It's one page. I'm making sure facing pages is turned off because I'm only doing a single page. There you go. We're going to check no columns. I want my margin set at 0.125 and bleed 0.125. Why is it not auto filling all of them? That's all right. Margin, and then those auto-filled. All right. And then we hit create. I'm going to make sure that I pull and find my center points. And I got my snapping off. So I'm going to edit, undo new guide. I'm going to add a box so it can snap to points and I know where my center is. And I do that just to help me out. We have a title. And I have a background. Now this is Art Nouveau. 2 words. Now what I don't want us to do is how badly did I spell that? All right, N-O-U-V-A-E. Oh, I spelled it right. I feel like I always spell it wrong. We have, this is our artboard, right? And we know where our margin is. When we think about it, let's fill that space. Not crazy fill it, but we don't need it just centered here all small. Like this is a title and we want to use the space to our advantage. So when we say that, like, kind of start big. You can always make it smaller, which I probably will do if I want to do some stacking, but start big. Don't start, like when you first make that text box, you think about, I have this pink and purple lines. I can fill that however I want. So fill it. Don't be shy about it. This is a title. So what we're going to look at then is, not that, here it is. I'm going to go to fonts. And I did the Adobe fonts because I know it can load. And I typed in for the search bar is Art Nouveau. And then you get all these like cool, weird fonts. And you can pick whatever you want. I don't like this, it's too thin, skinny. But maybe there's another version. It's kind of, maybe there's a thick version. This is weird. Oh, it's not bad. Oh, I have it already. Here's what the arts and crafts movement that comes around, goes around. This seems too skinny. If there's not I like, for a title, I want a big bold font, but I do like this. It's all caps. Oh, look at how many of these I actually already have on my system. That's hilarious. Let's do, I'm going to try these. Ars Nova and Swak. So I'm just going to open InDesign and I'm going to copy and paste. And I'm going to go to here and change one to Ars Nova. And this one I'm going to change to Swak. And see how they look. My design preference in life is the bold. It's a personal preference. You could do this one. It's just personal preference. Now, the other thing, before I get too far, is I was like, what can I do? And actually, I started opening up some reference. I was like, I should add some swirls, some cool. This is it. Like, why don't I try to emulate this onto my piece as well? So I'm just gonna copy and paste this. I'm gonna copy image. I'm gonna go to the background. I'm gonna paste it. because I'm going to remove it eventually. It's huge, right? It's huge. Don't fret. Just go right up here and just simply type in and make sure it's linked. See that? That's linked. I'm just going to type in 25, and I also make sure that my corner is shot over here. So what this does here is if I have it in this top corner, when I go 25%, it's going to make everything, it's going to keep that corner where it is, and everything's going to get 25% smaller in one direction. I generally always have that happen because of this. So maybe I'll try centered. So center worked, but I'll do it again. Oh, this spacing might be perfect. No, I want it smaller. So I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna use the free transform tool. And I'm looking to get like the pattern. I think this is good. Yeah, I'm gonna actually make a new layer called pattern. Get a pen tool and just start drawing these. I'll do this quick. So what I say, this should take you an hour. Should I do that? Go off the page there. These need to be fixed. There's these wonky turns in here. Ay, ay, ay. Let's get that fixed. A little bit harder. No, I'm just rushing. That was that line. You know, I'm just copying the lines. And what I'm going to do is copy that. I'm just going to spend some time on it and make this pattern. It's okay. Let's start from the bottom here, go up to here, come across, go to here, go to here. And later on, I have to deal with these overlaps and stuff. This comes out to here. Got to fix that. Goes around to here, and then one and out. Let's get that cleaned up. And then get this little guy in here. Again, I will finish this for Thursday and show you, so you don't have to see me do all the work. But sometimes it's good to watch how other people work. You can get those tricks and tips in there. How I work from quick to refining. Like, I'm not spending my time right now on like worrying about how exact it is. Oh, that was a bad move. I'm gonna get some more in here. I'm gonna zoom in. That one comes across, this one comes across. I need to go up. So this is, oh, look how complicated this is. And just using that. And I may have to come in, like there's overlapping and this and that. Right now I'm just doing lines. That comes all the way to here. I'll have to play with this quite a bit, but I just want the baselines in there. Figuring out what's in the front, what's in the back, what's overlapping, what's not overlapping. It's all part of the design process. I'll stop that one there. Now what I would do is I'll set everything up, and then I'll come back and fix everything. Meaning I want the base design. This is my sketch. And I'm going to lay out everything. And then I'm going to go and then I'm going to rework and delete stuff and try again and fix it. So I'll show you what that looks like. I think I got everything I need. We'll do the one more arch here. All right. That needs to go. I'm going to have this go off the page. Fix that. All right. So I'm going to make a second background, actually. Because I can add color, right? I won't do that now. No. So I just copied, so that's the start here. Now what I would do is I'm going to knowing I have to work on this, but I'm going to copy and paste it. I'm going to flip it up here. I'm going to move this over here. And I'm going to line it up with these are equal. And then Art Nouveau. And I'm going to break this apart now. Now I'm going to go to, I think it's good. The spacing is good. I'm going to go to Type, Create Outlines. I'm going to Object, Ungroup. And remember, this is an InDesign, not an Illustrator. You can do all this stuff. You got to learn to be, just use both for what you need to use them for. Where's Ungroup? I'll just do the quick one. I'm going to separate this out, come on. Why is Ungroup not letting me ungroup? All right, so you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to delete this one. I don't want that one. I'm going to copy this one, copy paste. And I'm going to do Art and Nouveau. I don't know why it's glitching on me, but to keep this moving, I just lost the type there. Oh, no, I didn't. I just added a space. Let's get rid of that. Type, create outlines, type, create outlines. Why is it not letting me? I have no idea why it's not letting me futz with stuff. I'll figure out why. But now I'm just going to make this smaller. And I think I might want a lowercase n. If I do something like this, so now looking at that, I'm going to do ART, and this is in the, what font? Please don't say I closed it. Was it SWAC? No. Ours? No, where's the most used one? Ours, ARS. Why didn't it come up? All right. ARS. Yeah. So I want that all uppercase. I can make it bigger. Type, create outlines. There we are. And then I'm going to get rid of this one. And I want Nouveau to be all lowercase. B-E-A-U A-R-S. Yep. Let's make it bigger. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go into type, create outlines. I'm going to delete this one out and delete that one out. You don't have to delete them. They're off the artboard, but, and then now, like, this is what I want to do. Make sure it's centered. I was holding down shift when I do that. Then I can see how big do I want this? Like, I want it from margin to margin. And then I'm going to grab these two. I'm going to make sure they're centered with each other. They're already centered. And I'm going to tap it over, get it centered on the art page. What the heck? What is all that? And then what I would do now is work with these designs. And I just had an idea because nothing is done. What if I flip this? And then like this one should be smaller. So like if I bring this in, and all I'm doing is making that loop smaller. And get it fixed up. You know, it's get it more natural. You know, like, so that gives me, and then like maybe this then needs to be finished. Let's play with that. I'll just kind of do that for now. And I'll clean that up. So now I have a framing system that's better and I can check it. So I'm just going to grab all this, slide it over, flip it, get it lined up, and know like, okay, I'm kind of on my way. Now, you know, like if I did a colored background, I could fill this with white. I can have a color for the lines and then the background and then a foreground. And that's the playing around. So I'll work on this more and show you on Thursday what I do. So because I don't want to forget, File, Save As, save the cloud document. I'm going to save my files and to 126 and titles JSKAJA, not the extra, underscore chapter. I don't even know what chapter it is. Five. Call it 5. All right, and then save it. And now I have that. Everything's there for me to work on. Any questions, comments, or concerns? All right. With that said, I will see you on Thursday. On Thursday, we'll go over the design for the, chapter information, where you pick something that stuck out to you in the chapter, maybe somebody from history, a design style, whatever. We'll do that design, and then I'll go over creating the mock-ups for your poster finals. All right, and I'll show you what I did with this. All right, cool. You know how to get a hold of me. I'm here and around. I'll be here until 4 in the building. Otherwise, I will see you on the discussion boards and talk to you on Thursday. All right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.